Greetings, everybody. This is Mark, and I am running this Facebook group. Today, I'm going to be chatting with Carlos, who is a fellow teacher of Transcendental Meditation. Hi, Carlos.
Hello.
Carlos is currently in Bristol. I think he's talking to us from Bristol, and Carlos trained as a teacher about 2 years ago, and he mainly teaches in London and in the Algarve in Portugal. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a chat, and Carlos is going to tell us about his TM journey, why he learned, etc. So I will begin by asking you first, Carlos, rather than being when did you actually learn to meditate, and how did that come about? How did your TM journey begin?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. I would have never really seen myself as someone who would have been into meditation, and it actually took something that at the time would have been perceived as pretty tragic for me to take it up, which was that I was, going through a bit of a mental health crisis, and it forced me to drop out of university. I was going through all sorts of symptoms, manias, depressions, and I was diagnosed with bipolar type 1. And yeah, I was very depressed. And it was I turned up to TM out of desperation because a friend recommended it. And I went and I heard the intro. I was quite skeptical, and I learned, and no word of a lie, within about 4 or 5 months from the day of learning, which was in 2013, I was completely symptom free. I was off all medication, and I was feeling really happy. So
wow,
very quick 180-degree turnaround for me, and that's why I eventually ended up going on to becoming a teacher. So it was, for me, very transformative. It wasn't immediate, but it took a few months but even within the first week, I was already noticeably happier.
That was going to be my question. If you say that you were kind of symptom free within 4 to 5 months, did you have a clue that something was happening, like even in the first few days of learning to meditate?
Yes, but I didn't want to celebrate yet because I wasn't out of the woods. So I remember the day after learning, I woke up and I noticed the birds singing outside my room. And that for me was quite special because my head had been so noisy for so long, so cluttered with so much, crap going around in there all the time, that just hearing birdsong and noticing that and looking outside and seeing, the sun and the trees and appreciating nature in a way that I hadn't for I don't know how long. And that was quite significant. And then I was still, not 100%. I was still quite depressed, but I noticed there was a noticeable shift, and that kept increasing with time, with regularity. So yeah, it was a gradual, and yeah, it was within about 4 or 5 months completely. I noticed I hadn't had any symptoms for a week or so, and that stayed the same for 7 years now. So yeah, it wasn't. Well, it's quite an amazing thing for me. I mean, if someone had told me that before learning, I would not have believed them. Sure. that it could have that big a change. And I wouldn't advertise and say anyone going through, bipolar will be cured, immediately. I think I'm very lucky, but I know other people with similar problems who have seen a significant change as well through practicing TM. So yeah, I think for mental health, it's brilliant.
Can I ask, so the benefits sound like transformative. Actually doing the practice when you first learnt and in those first few months, was the doing of the meditation enjoyable, or did you feel like it was a bit like something you had to do to feel better, or how was that?
Good question. I mean, it's been so long. I kind of just went along with it because I knew it was doing something for me. But there was a time where I let it slip. And I think it was because I just remember thinking, I can't be bothered with this, because I had too many thoughts or whatever. I was thinking all the time. And I thought, maybe I don't need this. And I let it slip for like a few weeks, I think. And I noticed a little bit of a downward curve in my mood and things like that. So, and then I got back on it, and since then I've been very regular. But whether it was always enjoyable, now it definitely is. At the time, I think it was as well, but I can't really remember. It was, yeah. I just remember feeling better outside the meditations rather than having particularly profound experiences during the meditations at the beginning.
Okay, that's cool. And so then you did teacher training 2018.
That's right.
And so what's been going on since then? Because I'd like you to talk about your mainly. I'm always interested in two things. When someone has done their teacher training, how was it to teach those first few courses? Can you talk a bit about that? What was it like when you teach your first person? You're thinking, oh, is it going to work?
I remember kind of going, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this, panicking because a little bit before. But it's amazing because the teacher training course is designed in such a way that it just seems to flow very easily once you start teaching. And I remember the first guy I taught, actually. He was a student at Bristol University, a very nice guy. And there were a few, and I think I just taught one person that day because another teacher was doing the full course. And then I ran my first few courses after that, which included teaching a few family members, and it was quite special. Yeah, I think it's something where, as a TM teacher, and maybe you'll agree with this, I'm not sure, you don't really do that much in a way. You're just kind of stepping aside and letting their own nature take over. So it's not like it requires a huge amount of effort from our side, but we do need to be there to guide it and make sure that they're meditating correctly. And yeah, so I think it went very well. I'm still in touch with a few of the guys who I taught in the first few weeks of teaching, and they're all regular and they're seeing some great benefits. So yeah, I think it went well. I think I'm happy with that.
Cool. And you've done one project or a few projects abroad as well. Can you tell us about those? They sound quite exotic.
So yeah, I got roped into the Friends project in Portugal through my girlfriend, who's also a TM teacher out there, and they needed extra teachers basically. My Portuguese isn't particularly good, so I was mainly doing the instructions, and then during the days of checking, I was taking a bit of a back seat when everyone was together in a group. But yeah, I taught about 60 kids in schools in Portugal. This is a EU-funded project, so the EU, based on the back of some of the science that came out of America and other places, funded TM in schools in some countries, and the ones that really took off were, I think, Portugal, Sweden, and the Netherlands. I'm not sure exactly. But in Portugal, a lot of schools have learnt now. And so I wasn't a major role in that, but I was involved a little bit, and I taught in a few schools. And it was great seeing all the kids meditating together. And you feel something quite special when you get a whole class of 30 kids or so meditating.
What age?
Well, in the schools in Portugal, I taught in one primary and one secondary school. So in the primary school, we were giving out the child's technique, which for those who don't know is they can do it while they're with their eyes open, while they're drawing a picture or having a little walk around. But yeah, the teachers there were incredibly grateful in the primary school because a lot of the classes were transformed in a way that negative behaviors reduced, the teachers' stress levels drastically reduced. And so it was quite funny when I walked in with Joanna, who'd been teaching there, and all the kids were running up and hugging her and jumping on her. Like, it was kind of like she was a big star in the school, teaching all these little kids to transcend. And yeah, it was quite beautiful.
And you were telling me before just earlier that you were in Sierra Leone. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So we accepted a project in Freetown in Sierra Leone to go out and teach in a bunch of schools there. There were some teachers who were closer by from Ghana who had gone in and taught a lot of the teachers in the schools. And about 5 head teachers, principals were so impressed with the technique that they gave permission for us to go in and teach all the staff and the kids. And yeah, we were out there for a few months, and then COVID put a kind of premature stop on the project for now. 2 teachers, Chris and Norma from the UK, did stay out there, and they're still there now. And they've been teaching as many people as they can given the circumstances. But the school's closed, so we left. But we made some progress, and a lot of the teachers and the kids out there were meditating. And we also went into UNICEF and ended up teaching a few people there. And I think Chris taught one of the government ministers of the country, Minister for Trade, and there were quite a few kids meditating by the time we had to leave. But the main school we made a lot of progress in was actually a Muslim mission school, which was funny because we thought that having a little ceremony at the beginning they would see some kind of conflict there, but they were very embracing of it. And it was funny because you'd be in this classroom with all this noise, traffic, horns, chickens outside making lots of noise. And you think, how the hell are we going to get these guys to meditate in here? But they just all dropped and sank. It was incredible. Like they really got it very quickly. And I'm still in touch with a few of the teachers there. They're sending me messages, and they're still meditating every day. And yeah, it was a special experience. I'd like to go back and visit for sure.
Yeah. And what? So how's the next sort of 6 months to a year looking for you? What have you got planned?
I don't plan things anymore, Mark. I just see what happens. No, good question. No, I really don't know. It all depends on how things go in the world, I guess. I'm just available to teach whoever wants to learn, and I've also got a few other projects. I'm helping out with the tech support of the new TM app as well. So that's been interesting, trying that out, and I've tried teaching with it a few times, and I think it will be a valuable tool, and I'm hoping that soon everyone who has learnt TM will have access to this and will be able to see local events and retreats and things in the app. So there'll be a community section there to keep people informed about what's going on and what retreats and meetups they can join to encourage a bit of a social side around TM as well. I think that would be nice, particularly in places like London. So yeah, for me personally, I don't know. I'm going to spend a bit of time back in Portugal, and we're doing a little bit of farming on the land out there, and hopefully I'll be back soon in London running a few courses there as well.
And which centre are you working with in London, just in case there's anyone?
I'm kind of freelancing, as it were. East London is probably the one I'm most associated with, London East, with Carla and James. And I taught in Gemma's art studio recently, and she's also East London, Hackney Wick area. And I taught a course in Shepherd's Bush as well. So I'm kind of, freelancing. I wouldn't say I have an established centre yet, but so one day.
Yeah. Great. Okay, cool. Well, thanks, Carlos. That's really interesting. So if anyone wants to learn from Carlos, or if you've got any other questions, you can just type them in the comments and I'll pick them up and we'll come back to you as soon as we can. Any parting words?
Just if you learn TM if you haven't already, and give it a go. You don't have to believe anything, just try it out and you'll see that your life will improve. In my experience, it works for everyone. And parting words, I don't know. And if you do learn, try and stay regular with it, but don't try during your meditation. I guess that's it.
Cool. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me, Mark. It's great.
Yeah,
great
of course.
chat.
All right. Cheerio. Bye.